So I've been attempting to figure out how to talk about love for a while now. Not being in love, but just how to love. And every time that I have attempted to open my mouth or say something or give some sort of advice, my mind completely goes blank. But lately, I've really been able to help others, specifically others that really matter to me, in regards in how to love and how to love themselves, love their journey, embrace their situations, because I realized that I had basically hit rock bottom in what would be considered like the ultimate form of just not loving myself and the way my life is going. And I say this because I remember when I was a teenager, like early to mid teens, I started writing poetry as a form of a emotional outlet, and I remember that a lot of my poems talked about me falling in love with living, not falling in love with life, not falling in love with things, not falling in love with someone. It was falling in love with living, because I realized that I did not enjoy it, that it was not something that I overall looked to do every day. Um, as I got older and was making more of my own decisions, things started happening to me that I felt like I had no control over. I felt like things were my fault. I had a lot of guilt, a lot of shame in things, and I didn't know what to do. And so last year, almost a year ago now, was really when I started making different decisions about what I wanted to do with myself and what falling in love with living really looked like to me. And so it first started off with embracing what my life had to offer. And as funny as it may sound and as funny as it may seem, that was the first step in doing that, was actually being over the moon about getting laid off from my job at the time, which was social work. And, I had gone to school for this thing, I had gone to school for this career. I went to school and got my bachelor's in psychology, and I had the plan and the layout of what I wanted to do and who I wanted to become and the things that I wanted to create. And I still have those plans, but I have the plans about going about those things in a completely different way than the way I had imagined. And it was also being okay with that. I realized that I had more to offer than just the structures of the way the world was set up and what I felt like I had no control over. When it came to, we'll say, for example, a job, I had always learned that making money was the way to basically beat the odds of what I wanted to accomplish in life. So if I had to work till I paid things off, that's what I was going to do. I had a set goal for that before I had even, gotten married and everything like that. If it came to, providing for people, is working to be able to be that provider. And that was the way that I had learned things, and that was the way things had structurally worked out for me. Worked out for me. But as I continued to live my life, especially after getting laid off and things weren't working out for me anymore, such as, you know, applying for jobs and not getting anything, hitting rock bottom functionally for body wise, because, I had gotten to the point where I was asking for mobility aids like a cane, at 25 years old. I was about to walk with a cane. At 25 years old, I was literally walking at the pace of, no sort of ageist information here, but I was walking at the pace of an older person. I was not able to make my own meals or even shower regularly. I had quite literally reached rock bottom of myself. And when I actually learned to fall in love with my situation and fall in love with my journey, which was just getting back into moving functionally, was when doors started opening for me. I started gaining opportunities such as starting my own business and taking the time to do that, learning how to cook and taking the time to do that. I had thought that, being with my now husband and loving him through his things and knowing how to love another person was the way to the extent of learning how to love. And as I don't know, there's a saying that I saw, not necessarily a saying, but something I had seen somebody write on the internet saying decenter men in pertinence to women. I am more the advocate of decentering others and centering yourself, because I really had trouble in what that looked like. I thought that me centering myself was just aiming for my goals. No, it was centering yourself in the choices that you make and what makes you functional, whether that be taking supplements, going to doctor's appointments, whether that be going to the gym daily, whether that be interacting and hanging out with people that you choose to spend your time with. That is what centering yourself is. And I thought a lot of the things that, I wanted to do that was for myself were very selfish, because I had always been accused of being selfish or vain growing up, when I was just trying to be myself. And realized that it took a long time for me to realize that those insults, those comments were only distractions. And sometimes I let them get to me, but I would always revert back to my old self. I would always revert back to my old ways, to the things that I had been labeled as selfish but weren't really. And they ended up, getting me to where I am today, with the choices that I make, the things that I talk about, with how I talk about things and encourage people. And I'm just at this point wanting to figure out really how to explain those things and explain those situations to others that might eventually come across my content, because I feel like I am very much a lover girl and not a hopeless romantic type. Like, yes, I love romance stories. Yes, I love, love stories and people telling me about, cute meets and stuff like that. But I genuinely mean, like, just, just being, like, all around full of love. Like, I just really, and it's not even so much like people might call it looking at things from a perspective of, rose colored glasses, and maybe you could call it that. I mean, I like to say it in a positive standpoint, looking at things from a perspective of rose colored glasses. But I really like looking at things with poeticism and philosophy and just different perspectives, even God ordained perspectives that really just allow you to slow down and really smell the flowers. And so, as nerve wracking as this may be, and as low on words and terms and analogies and vocabulary as I feel when it comes to giving this advice to people, I want to definitely make this a series in just how to love, not how to be in love, not how to love something specific, but to just how to love. And from different perspectives, if it comes into and ends up being about how to fall in love, or how to fall in love with yourself, or how to fall in love with journeys, or how to, you know, awaken love within yourself, so be it. I just want to come from the perspective of love in all different perspectives, because I feel like that's something that can be spoken about forever. I feel like that's something that can be taught forever. And it can be from the perspective of love through anger, and love through, you know, discernment, love through patience, through kindness, through empathy, through, passion, whether that be, slow passion or fast paced passion. Like, there's so many different perspectives to come from when it comes to love, and I feel like that's something that I would really like to talk about and really like to analyze. So, I hope you enjoy this journey with me. Thanks for listening.